My guest on Path to Law for It's a Lawyer's Life today is George Butler from 42 Bedford Row. Welcome, George.
Thank you, Rena.
And George, you're currently a family law barrister
Yep.
at 42 Bedford Row, but you have a particularly interesting path to how you got here. And I want to start by describing you as proper posh. You are, aren't you?
A friend of mine said that I come from a background of upperclass hillbillies. So yes, I suppose so.
And I think your grandfather nearly became Prime Minister?
Yeah, my grandfather was a guy called R.A. Butler who passed the 1944 Education Act, etc., etc. I have courtholds in my background who own huge numbers of paintings. So yeah, I mean, on both sides of the family, they are, as I said to you previously, proper posh.
But if anyone thinks that you've had an easy ride to the law, they'd be wrong, wouldn't they?
I've had an unusual way of getting here.
And I think, to be serious for a moment, your parents, your mother was...
My mum was bipolar, which meant I had an interesting and disruptive childhood. My dad liked to drink. They separated when I was 7. And on top of that, I was classified as dyslexic. But in the 1970s, that didn't exist. And in my primary school, they said that I was educationally subnormal. So I had an odd start.
And you started, I believe, in state school, is
Yep,
that right?
I went to my local primary school until I was 11, and I then ended up at boarding school. Neither of them really supported me particularly with whatever my specific learning issues were. So I kind of muddled along until I got to A-levels, and I managed to achieve an E in Latin A-level, which doesn't really bode well for a life in the law.
But it's kind of interesting on 2 levels that you got a low grade in Latin.
Yeah, well, I should never have taken Latin, but I think at the time I was told that, that's what people like me did.
And did you have any plans to enter the law?
No, none whatsoever. I didn't have any plans.
Right.
So then I left school and I had about 3 years of not having any plans. I sort of planned to go to university, but none of them would take me because my exam results weren't great. And I ended up 3 years later at Aberdeen University.
And again, there might be people watching who haven't achieved the grades for university. So what would you say to them?
Well, I got into Aberdeen to read sociology, so I basically just tried for anything that would take me. And as soon as I arrived there, I just switched degrees because you could. It was a modular system, and went to study politics and international relations, which is what I wanted to do. So my advice is to anybody, just get in somewhere to do something, and the chances are you can then change.
And it took you a while to complete your degree, didn't it? Because of the dyslexia.
I took 5 years to do a 4-year degree, and that's an awful long time to spend at university. I don't know if it was just the dyslexia. I think I found it very difficult to manage the self-motivating stuff, actually getting up, going to lectures, all the rest of it. And I just kind of muddled through. And yeah, it took me 5 years. And I think my last 2 years, I finally started to think, I can do this. I ended up with a 2-1, which was fine, and sort of left thinking, oh, that's out of the way. And I had no idea what I was going to do next.
And in fact, you didn't have any plans again for a number of years.
No. I think... Well, I finished university, I went back down to London, I got a job as a temp at the London Evening Standard, and it was there that I met the woman who would become my wife, and I then, in about 1996, I followed her over to Australia, and I spent the next 5 years in Australia.
But you spent those 5 years doing something rather interesting, didn't you?
Through my wife Anna, I started volunteering for a radio station down there, which was a dance music radio station. And cutting a long story short, I became a DJ on the radio station there. I ended up working for a record label as their national marketing and promotional manager. And I sort of did that nightclub DJ stuff for a bit.
And did you look the part?
I had blonde hair and a piercing. Yeah, it was an unexpected... I didn't expect to turn up doing what I ended up doing.
But you presumably enjoyed it?
I loved it. It was great. It was the funnest 5 years of my life.
But is it the kind of lifestyle that you felt you could have lived long term?
I hit 31 and I thought, I can't keep doing this. I'm not paid enough and I don't love the work or the lifestyle sufficiently to keep wanting to sort of do that for the rest of my life. And also I think other people were just better at it than I was. And so I put my finger in the air and I thought, I know, I'll become a barrister.
That's an odd shift, isn't it, from being a radio DJ to becoming a barrister, because it's the world of freedom and being trendy and hip, to being really what's considered a stuffy profession.
So I didn't know.
You didn't know?
All I knew at that time was that two of my friends had done what they described as hit the law panic button in their early 30s. One became a solicitor, the other one became a barrister. And I think I lacked imagination. I just thought, look, I can stand up, I can talk, I do this every day on the radio. This is something I might be able to do. I think it was as simple as that.
And you returned to the UK?
Returned to the UK, I did my postgraduate diploma at City, my bar vocational course, and then like everybody else, I mean, I was 32, 33 at that stage with absolutely no background qualification at all to get me through a pupillage interview when they would say, you know, why would we pick you? Why do you want to be a lawyer? What's your experience? I had none whatsoever.
But you were taken on, and in a rather odd way, weren't you?
Yeah, I turned up for an interview at 4 Brick Court. I thought I was going for an interview at the Chambers of Hollis Whiteman, which I think was a criminal set. And I started saying things in the interview that made me look incredibly prescient, like I knew things that I didn't know. And actually, it was the opposite. I knew nothing. I was just answering the wrong questions. But in a way that by pure chance, I think, made me seem like I had my finger to the, you know, the pulse, my ear was to the ground. I really knew what was going on. I was hardworking. And I think that's part of the reason that got me through. They also liked the fact that I was a DJ.
George, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. Thanks ever so much. And it just shows that you can come to the law through a very different route to one that most people assume.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Thank you very much, George.
Welcome.